Welcome back, dudes, dudesses, to 2022. Woohoo! Hopefully it's going to be a good year this year. We had a shit last couple of years, 2020 and 21. Now we've got the Omicron, we've had the Delta, we've had the original flavour of the COVID-19, and so far, touch wood, I haven't had anything, so I'm still negative, and I've been double back, so I've done that as well. So I've become a grandfather too over the last 5 weeks. I'll go into that in some other videos. But today we're all about pro tips on how to look after your electric skateboard, and what are my personal secret pro tips, 7 of them, to get you to understand how to look after electric skateboard and protect it. Look at this baby here. This is my old, it's an old T Model Ford. This is a 3-year-old electric skateboard. It's the APSU. Big shout to APSU. This is Stealth. It was the one I talked about being a revolutionary board with its honeycomb, first ever company to do that. Wheels, 110, beautiful flex deck. I have broken one of the wheels, but that took 4,500 kilometers. Why? Because it's my loan board. I lend it to anybody and everybody while I watch them ride it. That's another thing I talked to you about. And thank you to APSU board for sending me out the new wheels. That's the brand new ones. Thank you so much. This board is exceptional. This is a great board. It's solid. I mean, well, it's not that old. I mean, it's just something that reliable, works, and it's just it's a beautiful board to ride. Now I want to talk to you about basically these tips now, but let's roll the intro, come straight back, and we'll jump straight into it and get into the 7 personal pro tips on how to look after your electric skateboard. Jump into it. My 7 personal pro tips on how to look after the electric skateboard. So my tips are as follows. So tip number 1, my personal first tip, is to don't ride it like you stole it. And by that I mean, just don't smash over gutters, jump over stuff. If you've got a street wheel like this, don't even go over 1-inch gutters. 1-inch gutters every single day from your house is 365 bang 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 bang. There's over 2,500 solder points on these boards, including the internal batteries. Any one of those can crack or break, and it's an open circuit, you're gone. It just won't turn on. This metal fatigue is so common on these boards, and you've got to make sure you look after it. So yes, all-terrain wheels over any 1-inch gutters, but still not big gutters. Hit the all-terrain wheels on pretty much anything, but these street wheels, keep them off those 1-inch gutters as you go over driveways. Just put it on smooth roads, ride it like normal. You can slide, smash it, jump it, flex it, but just keep it on a general, looked after basis, so you're keeping it really safe. This is one of the most important aspects, looking after it. Think of it as this way. Think of it as a longboard you find in the garage, and you come out and you screw on there your PlayStation on the deck. So you're riding around with a PlayStation electronics on a skateboard. When you think of it like that, you'll change your methodology and thought process on how you ride these things. Solder joints, metal fatigue, brakes are the most critical, important parts of this. A lot of ESCs built in the early sort of 2015, especially Cool Wheel, brought out their potting on their actual electronics, which meant the electronics was rubberized, except essentially. So if you see a capacitor where you turn it over and it's got the 2 wires coming out of the capacitor, and there's that jelly rubberized filler on the bottom that it fills gel, that's called potting, and they fill that up so the electronics doesn't move. Now, Cool Wheel were the first company to do potting on their ESCs. It was brilliant. It was not only waterproof, way past IP65, but you dunk it underwater basically, and then none of the solder joints could crack or move because they were literally, glued in there, like those little insects in the doctor's office in those, all those pills that you have in like a Perspex, epoxy. So that's how they did them. They've gone away from that, and they're going in now to pretty much just having the solder joints all open, the whole thing pretty much, be able to rattle, move, crack, especially remotes. We'll go into that in a second. You've just got to be careful when you hit a lot of bumps a lot of the time. Even corrugated concrete on these street wheels, even these 110 wheels, is extremely concerning if you're going to do that all the time. So that's my first pro tip, is protect it, look after it, carry over any major bumps. Just avoid metal fatigue, cracks, solder joints, breaks and chips. That's really important. Right, pro tip number 2. Battery battery management. Why battery management? Well, 60% of the board that you actually own, the price is the battery. That's pretty much the price. The battery is the most important part of this board and also the most expensive part. And battery management is so critical. So like, think of it, you don't want your electric skateboard to end up turning out like your electric toothbrush or your electric drill, where you get it out after 2 or 3 months or 6 months, oh geez, you know, it's dead, it doesn't recharge. You've got to keep that battery maintained. Now the new boards coming out from China now have got the automatic BMSs that will bring the voltage down to 60%, and they self-manage like the X-Ways. There are some new boards coming out, just like the drones do with DJI, to actually manage that and massage that battery well. But pretty much 80% of the boards on the market, even the new ones coming out now, Volvo, everything, they do not do that. So you need to really look after yourself. And how do you do that? Well, what you do is you never store a battery on high, on full. It's like blowing a balloon up and it's fully pressurized, and the actual carbon, the battery, they don't like that. The lithium just does not like being fully proned all the time. So you keep it down a bit. So 60% is about the level you keep your board all the time. So it actually goes even further than that. You've got to actually not just keep that battery at 60%, but you've got to also make sure that within 3 months, they say a month, but I do 3 months, fully charge it, go for a ride, bring it right down to 10%, not 5, but about 10, and then bring it back and fully charge it again, and then go out for one more ride. It needs 2 full cycles really to get that battery back to its pretty much high performance. Then you bring it up from that second 10% drop up then to 60%. But I'm now suggesting 65% is the optimal level to keep that battery. Okay, 65, 66% is what you want. Then you can store it again for another 3 months, and that battery will last for, like this one, 3 years nearly. My Cool Wheels 4 or 5 years. That's really important. Don't store your battery on high, and don't let it run down too low and leave it too low for more than say 3 hours. Get it up from 10% straight away as soon as you get home from a ride, and put it back up to 60%. You can go up to 60% and leave it there. That's okay. That's the best thing to do, not drop it down to 60%, if you know what I mean. So you don't just say, okay, I'm at 100%, I'm gonna go for a few rides, bring it down to 60. You want to take it up to 60, not down to 60. It likes that, to be charged up to 60. Don't leave your board in a hot car. Anything over say 40 degrees, no, absolutely not. Keep it at the optimum temperature, around 30 degrees at the max, or down to, like, you know, I suppose something like 10 degrees if you're in the northern hemisphere. Try and keep in that range between 10 degrees and 30 when you're storing the board all the time. That's pretty important to the battery's life and longevity. On that note, I am actually getting my hands on a unique piece of engineering from someone I can't talk about too much who it is at the moment, but this person is well known in the industry. It's Battery Guru. It's exclusively going to be given on to me on my channel. It's a device to plug and play and manage your batteries. It's exceptional, and hit that notification bell 100%, and make sure you subscribe, because there'll only be about 100 in the first batch, and I've already got 2 ordered. They'll go quick, so as soon as it comes live, bang, they'll be available on the website and the link below. Not yet, but it's coming in the next 2 months or so, 3 months maybe. So battery management is critical at point number 2, is my pro tip number 2. Okay, pro tip number 3, my personal pro tip is, obviously it's a pretty obvious one. Not ride it in the rain. A lot of guys will say, look, I've got a seal unit, and I've seen the X-Way go underwater, I've seen all that stuff. At the end of the day, don't really ride in the rain, because you get condensation. These are not waterproof. They're not waterproof watches. These things will condensate. They will let water in. Water is your natural enemy in the food chain of these things. It's the natural predator. So keep water away from this completely. I never ride my board in the rain anywhere. Even if I have to get home, I'll go, you know, get an Uber or something. I won't ride it. What I do, another good tip, is in my backpack when I ride, I take a black plastic bag that will fit this in, just a disposable garbage bag. It screws up to that size. I put it in my backpack. If it rains, I put it in, and I just tie a knot in the end. I carry it home in the rain. It'll get you out of trouble. It really is one of the most important things. So rain is an absolute no-no. The condensation, and just you know, just the fact that when these things flex, these decks, whether the casings on the bottom or the top, it's still not waterproof at all. I don't care what you say. So rain, no. Okay, so moving along. So my personal pro tip number 4 for looking after electric skateboard is don't drop your remote. The remotes are 50% literally of the board's performance. It is the thing that controls it. It is actually, it's so important to look after your remote. I can't stress enough. The amount of times I've seen guys with gloves drop their remotes all the time out in the field, bang, bang, bang. Plastic remote like this has a circuit board, it's no potting. It literally will, I mean, my Onan didn't work for a while. I pulled the thing apart. There was a fine wire that linked the 4-wheel drive between the 2 circuits on the tiniest little processor. I had to use a magnifying glass, had to use tweezers, and it was the finest wire, like not much thicker than 3 hairs that went across. If you drop those and you crack those like I did, they just come off, the whole thing doesn't work. So what I recommend is get yourself a rubberized cover. They're available on most websites. You can check out the Evolve ones that I've got before on my Instagram page. There's ones that come from Hobby Wing, and they just fit on beautifully. They will cushion 70% of the impact if you drop them. And also use your lanyard as well, because lanyards are really handy. If you fall off or you have to jump, you know, it's gonna hang on to your hand. But I can't stress enough the importance of looking after your remotes. Don't drop them, and don't leave them in the rain or wet as well. That's when you're having drinks or anything, keep them in your pocket and away from the tables. Really critical thing. Okay, so moving right along. So my personal pro tip number 5 of looking after your electric skateboard is don't push these boards when the battery is below 20% or maybe 25% up a hill, a steep hill, if you weigh, say, over 75 or 80 kilograms. The reason I say that, the batteries are geared with the BMS and also the controller to take on that load, and it knows what load it's doing and will then add more voltage or more amps to it. What you'll find is, especially if the batteries haven't been used a lot and you hit a hill on the first charge you've had on it for maybe 3 months, haven't ridden it, and you hit a hill very steep and you put the battery under pressure at 20% battery, you can blow cells. You can actually cause damage to the individual cell. It's happened to my boards, especially my boosted mini. It just, you know, I didn't condition that battery for 2 full cycles within that 3-month period, and therefore, you know, when I did hit the first hill on it, it just gave out. So yeah, it seems crazy, but these things, it does happen. Okay, so you've got to be really careful when it's low and it hasn't been conditioned, they haven't ridden it for a while. You've got to then make sure you at least get 2 or 3 full charges and discharges through that battery before you hit a steep hill under huge duress and pressure on that battery at a low battery point, like 20 or 15% battery left. Really important thing. Right, my pro tip, personal pro tip number 6 for looking after electric skateboard is bearings and belts. Now, okay, I don't know how to put this any clearer. I've got probably 30 skateboards upstairs. They're collectors now. There's Cool Wheels, Onans, Land Wheels. I've got the current Vireals. I've got Transites. I've got, you know, B-Buff boards and Ekwheel, Lycon boards. But the point is, there's a lot of belt drives there, and I have not replaced one belt. Not one of these belts. In fact, this board here, this belt on here, which is getting quite hard now, is the original belt from 2.5 years ago. I haven't changed it at all. It's done 4,500 kilometers. Now look, you're going to say, well, hang on, what are you doing? I'm not doing anything, but what I am doing is I'm just making sure that I don't slide too much. I started sliding this board, that's why I cracked the inside core of these wheels. So this particular core here, eventually the little tiny core, you can just, I can't really see it there, cracked because I was sliding it. So they were, you know, 2 years old. They get a bit harder after the heat of the wheels when you're riding it. So, you know, the belts, I have not changed one. Scott Davies, a friend of mine, you can, yeah, obviously you know his channel. He has a great skateboard review channel as well. We were talking the other day, and he said himself, he and I have not changed one belt. We've ridden more electric skateboards than probably anyone on YouTube. We've reviewed more. They just don't break. And I don't know, maybe it's just luck, but if you look after your board and you protect them and you share the wear with other boards, you'll find you don't need to change belts. So just leave them. If you want to change a belt, just every year whack one on, a new one. You'll guarantee that you'll probably be right for that whole next year. That's what I think about belts. That's my view. The bearings is another issue. I've heard people say, oh, I take my bearings off, I shake them in these little bottles, I've got one here, I clean them, put all the bearings in, I take them all off, and I think, oh my gosh, what a waste of time. That's life's free credits you're using. Just don't touch your bearings. Look, if you're riding a surf skate or you're riding a downhill board, bearings are critical. That spin on the wheel has to be precise. You can clean them regularly or just buy new bearings. But for me, when you're under the power of electric skateboards and you've got other issues regarding resistance on ground surface, it makes little difference whether you clean your bearings or not. Seriously, it makes absolutely no difference. I've had a board that doesn't spin that much on one bearing, and when I put a new bearing in, the difference on performance has been minimal, not even 1%. So my view is, don't waste your time cleaning them. They're so cheap now for a set of bearings, pretty much. Just every year, if you want to, just take the bearings out, chuck them, and put a whole new set in. It'll save you so much time. It can get quite neurotic cleaning your bearings and making sure they look good and putting speed grease in and all that. Waste of time, absolute total waste of time. There's no need for that at all, and that's my view. And I've got a whole lot of bearings. I just whack them in when I want. Another point why I don't think you should actually change your bearings a lot is in these cores where they fit in. Some wheels are quite tight. You've really got to hit them in hard. You've also got to put them on your hanger and you go and you got to really leverage them, and you got to sort of bend them, and you got to creak it. This is a plastic core that gets quite brittle over time. The minimum amount of time you're pulling the bearing in and out is better. So I change some of my bearings only once every 18 months, and then I take that out once and once only. I don't put pressure on the core. I don't like to put them in and out. I like to put them in once, leave them. Sure, if they rattle or they're making a really loud noise, change them. But generally, if there's no sound coming out of them, leave them. So that's my advice on bearings and belts on maintaining your board. That's all you need to do. Right, now, pro tip number 7, my last tip, my lucky number 7. Okay, this is a contentious one. I'll get a lot of comments on this probably, and that is customer service / warranty. Okay, I have to hit the bullshit button for that. This is something that is just not needed, not worried about, and you shouldn't even pay any attention or weight that heavily when you're buying a board. Oh, I want good customer service. Oh, I want to be able to contact them. I want to email them. I know what's going on. Nothing. Look, as long as the board gets to you on time and it gets in your hands and it's running beautiful when you get it, it's your responsibility after that, pretty much. If you are getting a board that's got problems from out of the box, that's a different kettle of fish. That's a complete different aspect. But if you're getting a board and riding it for a week and you say, oh, I had a problem with this, I had a problem with that, well, look, maybe look at the way you're riding it. To be honest, we had a chat, a few of us on a group the other day, and had a chat on one of the podcasts talking about after-sale service. It's not that important. Most of these boards, I've had, probably 70 boards come through my reviews on my channel and through Zulu Productions, and I have never had to contact any company except for once, I won't name it, on an issue with a slightly noisy motor. Nothing has happened. So if you get a board and you've got problems after that, look at the way you're riding it. Generally these things are Q&A'd pretty well out of China when they come out and they're running well. So once you get it, it's like receiving a baby from hospital. It's your responsibility to look after it. Okay, so don't pay a lot of attention to reviews on service and customer and this and correspondence, because it's not that important. Now I'll tell you now, I had a guy said to me once, oh, I had this board, it was APSU actually. Was it APSU? It was. And he sent it to me, and I've had this board, a month and a half, and it was, it's not working. It's not, coming on or turning on. And he sent a photo, and this guy was a Harvard student, and he's probably not I hope he's still one of my subscribers, but he may not. But I went back and said, look, dude, I've pinched and zoomed under an iPhone. You can really see everything super sharp. And I'll tell you now, you've got bottoming out on this board. You've got bottoming out on the bottom of this board, back to bare metal. The whole bottom had been scratched. The whole casing had been dented. There was mud all over it. I just had to laugh. I said, mate, there's no way in the world any customer warranty would merit that. It's just not going to happen, you know. And I think Evolve have a policy if there's a dent or a scratch on a motor, they don't warranty it. So don't get head up about warranty, correspondence, communication, support, after sales service. It's all absolutely a waste of time, because at the end of the day, if you look after these boards and you look after them properly, they'll run and they'll go for ages. So, you know, just think about that. Just make sure that you get the tracking number and the board arrives on time. And most boards are being held up now by so many issues with COVID, but you know, that's the most important thing. That's it, guys. That's pretty much my 7 tips. Some are obvious, some are not so obvious. I hope you learned a lot from this today. I hope you've seen a testimony to this incredible board here, 4,500 kilometers, the APSU Stealth. Big shout out, thanks again to APSU for giving me these wheels. This is not anything to do with this board, but I just want to show you a testimony how you can look after a board for 3.5 years, 4,000 kilometers, 4,500, and use as a loan board, and they just keep going and going and going. So there's no excuse to say, oh, my board won't last, or these boards don't last. You know, they do. You just look after them. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Drop me a comment down below if you agree or disagree with some of this stuff. I'd love to hear your views. But remember, before you respond to that, make sure you look at how you ride these boards and how you look after them. It's really important. Guys, till next time, I'll see you with the next video coming up, which is going to be the Viril speed test on all the different wheels, which is the new the all-terrain, the clouds, and the glow wheels. We'll do a full speed test on the RS Pro, see what the top speed can do with a 100 kilogram rider pretty much. Let's have a look at that. So till next time, guys, thank you so much for joining me. We're back on board. The videos will be twice a month, not 4 a month, but it'll be great quality, great music, great riding, and keep subscribing. There's a lot of special things coming up, including surf skates, Equil new model, Smooth Stars new model. There's this new gadget coming, whole lot of stuff, and more tips, modification, hacks like this. So I hope you keep subscribing. Thanks, guys. Till next time, see you in the next video. What? You're still here? Cool. Listen, why don't you watch some of these other videos I've made in the past along the same lines as what you've just watched, in the same kind of category. Enjoy.